Okay guys, in school, what did you learn about mental health?
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Nothing.
I feel like maybe kind of touched on it like in sixth form because A-levels were ridiculously stressful and they kind of felt like, oh, we kind of have to talk to them about it because half of them hate their lives, they're really stressed out about everything.
We had like a school counsellor, but I guess we didn't even know sometimes why we even needed a school counsellor.
At least in my school, we had that like somewhere to go, to have counselling, to get like help if we needed it. But it wasn't until it got bad. Like you had to be very depressed, very sad, very like showing it in school and for other people to notice rather than for you to be able to go and say, oh, I'm having an issue, can I have like someone to talk to about it?
I hated my school years. They were the worst years of my life. There was not one teacher which I felt that I could confide in for anything.
A lot of the teachers and adults were like so dismissive of anyone who said they were feeling depressed or anxious or, in the worst case scenario, suicidal.
Mental illness is such a complex thing. There's so much to it. There's so many types of illness, and I think that we were not taught anything to the point where we were almost oblivious if we were suffering from anything at all.
I literally got to the point where I was so unhappy that I said to my teachers, I'm going to spend the rest of year 11 working at home and then coming into my exams, I'm going to kill myself. Obviously that was taken very seriously. My parents are called in and they were like, hey, listen, she's going to kill herself. I meant it. Like, I really meant it. It was a horrific time.
I was struggling with my sexuality, I was struggling with everything, and I self-harmed really badly, and that's when school started to notice. Before that, there was just not really much, because people don't talk about it. There's not a dialogue around it, and if you are self-harming, it's very hidden and shameful, and people look at you and they're like, oh God, like, they try and avoid you rather than talking about it and saying, do you need some help?
For me, queer-specific mental health stuff, my internalised homophobia was ridiculous. I didn't understand what was happening, and like anything I picked up from society, kind of like residual family stuff was not, I don't know, just that it wasn't normal to be queer, so I ended up just honestly just hating myself every day.
It's not who they are, it's how society are telling them what they are. And it's when you're young, it's scary anyway, because you're like in a new world and discovering all these things, especially being, you know, gay with it. It's like, oh God, what now?
Even if you're not suffering from like mental illness, you should just be aware, because I guarantee you'll know someone that is.
Yeah.
We have to sort of like remove the stigma around it and kind of just let people know that there is nothing to be like ashamed of if you do suffer from a mental health problem.
Everyone has like bad days, like, and I think children need to know that, like, if you are having a bad day, that doesn't mean it's going to be bad for the rest of your life. Like, that's just one bad day, and yes, like, you're in a horrible situation, but it gets better.
I think there just needs to be, like, for queer kids specifically, a conversation around issues such as internalised homophobia, because I've spoken to so many people since then who have had similar feelings that they just didn't fit in the world and they didn't understand, and like that you feel like there's something wrong with you, and it takes you so many years sometimes for some people to realise that there actually is nothing wrong with you at all.
In my experience, there was no open discussion or forum for the students to kind of like share their own thoughts and feelings or ask questions.
So I feel like people should come into schools and talk about their own experience, so then the children looking up can think, yeah, I can actually relate to that person and not feel so, you know, on their own.
Just in general, I think it's like mental health is important to everybody. So like a 10-minute chat in a group on a Friday, we could have had like 10 minutes where a professionally trained teacher in mental health could just come around and be like, how you doing, you know, how's school, how's home? And just sit, and then when that's normalised, you start asking your peers and you start talking to them a bit more openly, and it's not such a stigma. It's just the simple chat on a Friday. That would be lovely.